You're live. Here with my boy Onslaught 6. Onslaught, how you living today, my man?
I'm living.
Glad to hear that, man. Glad to hear that. Appreciate your patience out there as well as my guest today. Dude, happy to have you, man. I think of you as like the Kickstarter czar. I know I know that's sort of a lot of what you do and how you're creating TTRPG stuff. But you know, before we dive in too much, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of where we can find you?
Yep, my name's Onslaught 6. I'm at Onslaught 6 everywhere in the world, except on Twitter. I also have an account at Tidal Wave RPG. I run Tidal Wave Games. We have been making RPG stuff for, oh god, I think a year and a half, since February of 2021.
Cool. Okay, February 2021. Wow. And how many Kickstarters have you brought kind of from birth to womb? 2. Okay, sick.
Well, I mean, we're working on the second one right now.
Got you.
The first one was for this. See You Space Cowboy.
Let's go.
It is a Cowboy Bebop themed tabletop RPG. Inspired by lots of other stuff like Pulp Fiction, and system-wise inspired by Ghostbusters by West End Games from 1986. The first role-playing game that I ever played.
Dude, that is such a perfect transition because that is usually my first question. It's like, what was your first TTRPG? Yours was Ghostbusters?
Yes. So, well, I come in from the other side. I come in through video games, right?
Cool.
So I grew up. The first computer role-playing game was this one, Wizardry 2 for the NES. I still have the manual. Wow. I keep it here in my studio because basically this thing works as like a mini player's handbook for the game. Wizardry was sort of a like first-person dungeon crawler that was basically an AD&D simulator. So it literally says like determining the character's race. You have humans and dwarves and elves and stuff like that.
And that's meant to be kind of a compendium to you playing on an NES?
Yeah, it would help you do all that. And also, so Wizardry was a port of like an Apple II game, and the copy protection method for them was that all of the spells have goofy names. I'm looking at the cleric spells here, like spell name, Kalki, Dios, Badios, Milwa, Porfic. And you needed the manual to tell you what the spells were. What the hell that is? Progress.
Wow.
Exactly, it means nothing.
That is so complicated, but so fun. Like, you know what I mean? And definitely, I don't even know if ahead of its time, but so ambitious with what it was trying to do. That's hilarious. So you came at it from video games. Amazing, man.
So Wizardry is in the mix there, and then obviously Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest and all that stuff in the late 90s.
Let's go.
And so I find the term role-playing game enters my lexicon as a child. I don't know who's honking outside.
Let them into your driveway.
Enters my lexicon, and then the very early, like 1999, 2001 internet, the idea of like, oh, actually, all of these games just steal stuff from this table pen and paper RPG called Dungeons and Dragons, and so the term tabletop role-playing game enters my lexicon, and that's when I discover we already owned the Ghostbusters RPG. We were a big board game family.
Wow.
We just like, anytime there was a yard sale or a flea market, we're just like buying these things by the truckload.
Gotcha.
Don't care if it has all the pieces, all that stuff. So one day we're like, let's play this Ghostbusters board game. And so my mom is looking at it and is like, okay, all the players have to read this book that's this thick, and then one of the players has to read this other book that's like 200 pages long. We're not doing this. Put this away. Right? And so like 3 or 4 years go by, and I'm like, wait a minute,
smokes.
Role-playing game? Is this what? And so I opened the box, and it's like I unlocked everything.
Right? So you wanted to play. No one else in your family did. You were like, let's crack this open. Let's roll.
I tried to run Ghostbusters for like my dad and brother, and they were not in.
Wow. Okay. So years go by. And then
years go by.
And then what? And then who do you get to play? Like your friends? Like your boys?
Nope.
Just solo?
Nope. I had no boys. I had no boys.
Got
you.
So
here's the thing. I don't have post Ghostbusters. I have no RPG materials. I have no access to this thing. There's no game stores by me. I live in the middle of goddamn nowhere.
Wow.
Right? The nearest game store to me is probably in State College, PA, which is like 100 miles away, an hour at least. Shout out Cello Buster.
Yeah,
That's my friend Alex.
That's so good. Buster, appreciate that offline follow. Appreciate you rolling through. We will be your boys. So feel free to still scream or hang on to that.
Well, so I'm using like this and things that I read off the internet and Final Fantasy to create my own tabletop RPG. In 2001, I'm like 10 years old.
Yeah.
I'm like writing in a Word document just the ideas for rules I have. I wish I still had this stuff. It would be amazing.
Yeah, agreed. Pre-cloud.
So that's where I start designing games is 2001.
That is amazing. And just to be sure, that is before you have
I've never played the game when I'm designing it.
Amazing.
I had gone to the county fair and gotten a few dice, two of which I think are these. I think like 2 D20s, and I didn't even have one of each. I don't think I had a D4, right? And I remember they were just in, you go to the game store and there's the bin of loose dice. They just dump the pounded dice in there.
Sort it out.
Like
Find one.
50 cents each, right? Whatever. And so I'd grab a couple, literally not even a full set. And my dad looks at me and is like, "You can get more, And I'm like, "Oh, no, I got one each. That's enough, right?"
Yeah.
and I'm using these with no knowledge of how Dungeons and Dragons actually functions, having never played it, just like sort of back end figuring it out from wizardry.
Dude, that is
whatever.
really, really wild. Gervanch, welcome, dude. Prince of Peace, how the fuck are you? Amon, welcome as well, dude. Open the Book of Pandora and let it loose, dude. Let the chaos out, aka the box. We're talking with Onslaught 6 today. Fantastic, just tabletop creator. We're really discussing sort of what brought him to the table. It was a combination of video games, some early kind of NES, basically like advanced Dungeons and Dragons simulators, as well as picking up some boxed Ghostbusters TTRPG, but never playing it. That's hilarious, man. So this is like a classic parable of the man who finds, the book of trigonometry, like out in the woods,
and has no idea what it means.
No relative concept for it, but like dives so deep into it, right? And that's hilarious, man. So at what point did it go from this like almost childhood incubation to I want to play? Like, did you start as a DM?
I always wanted to play. Anytime someone would talk about Dungeons and Dragons, I was like, "Can I play? How do I don't even know how to play, but I want to, right?" And I briefly had a group with a friend of mine who ran 3.5 online for us. This was in like 2012, but then it falls apart because the people and the friend group dissolves or something happens and whatever. It's not until a little bit after 2014 when a bunch of the guys at work. So in high school, I end up next to the Magic the Gathering nerds.
Oh, let's go.
Right? I don't play Magic the Gathering. I never have.
Oh, wow.
No, I never have, and I don't think I will. My only experience with the game is having a girl who I was trying to date hand me a deck and say, "Okay, we're gonna play." And then I go, "Okay, what do I do?" And she says, "Put down a couple cards." "Okay, those ones are your lands. Turn them sideways." "Okay." She goes, "Okay, it's my turn."
Gotcha.
"And you're dead. I win." Wasn't that fun? And I said no, and then we never played it after that.
Oh, that's so great. You're like, I ended up marrying her, though.
Yeah, no.
No, I'm joking.
She's fine. I hope she's doing okay. So I'm always next to the Magic the Gathering kids.
Sorry, I just got to shout out my boy Jay Crane. Appreciate that subscription, dog. Thank you for rolling through. You're my prince. Proper bugle for a hero. We're chilling with Onslaught 6. Crane, I know you want to play some D&D, dog. I know you love Game of Thrones, a fine glass of Cabernet, and slipping in through the back door to kill somebody, bro. Fictionally. So buckle up.
I'll do it in real life.
Yeah, exactly. Yo, hand me that dagger. So you play Magic the Gathering with this girl. She stunts.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, all right, this game is fucking whack. But how does
so a few of my other friends, they're always playing it at the lunch table. So I'm just like the guy watching them play. And so this happens to me at my day job. I work overnights at a certain blue big box retailer.
Got you.
And that's happening with a bunch of the nerds who I share overnights with, where, I realize all of a sudden I'm now, for the second time in my life, sitting next to the Magic the Gathering kids. And I'm like, I'm not gonna have this happen in my life. And so we all chip in $5 to buy the D&D starter set.
Damn.
For 5e, right? That's how broke we were because we're working at a certain blue box retailer in 2014.
Dude, copy that. That's funny.
Thank you.
That's
Ever
rad.
say hi to my wife.
Yo, hey.
She brought me tacos.
That is fucking insane. Let's go.
And so we start playing, and basically from there it spirals out. He buys Curse of Strahd, we start a new campaign there, and everything's hunky-dory, and I'm starting to figure, maybe I think I can do this DMing job, right?
You're right.
I'm watching the Penny Arcade Acquisitions Incorporated streams, where Chris Perkins, who works on the game, is their DM, right?
Okay.
I don't know that he's Chris Perkins, the guy who works on the game. I'm like, oh, he's Jerry's DM, right?
He's really good.
I'm watching a couple other things. I'm like, I think I can do what that guy's doing, right?
Yeah.
He's only one of the best DMs in the world, but I think I got this.
Oh, that's so good.
My friend, I try to run a few games and they end disastrously for some reason that I don't fully understand. I think it mostly starts on not having proper session zeros and setting guidelines and stuff like that. But after that, the guy who was running Curse of Strahd, he had like a family emergency, and he was like, "Hey, I can't play for like a couple months. Maybe I don't know when I'm gonna be able to play again." And so I'm like, "Okay, time to step up."
Yeah. Okay. So
like
did you take over?
Was very bad just now.
That's so good. They're coming for the tacos, dog. Did that?
You know what? That's probably what it is. She probably left it on the table, and Lucy got it.
I mean, that it adds up. It adds up, detective.
That does add up.
But did you slide in?
I don't take over the Curse of Strahd. I start my own game.
Okay, but with that table, you were like, all right, guys. Look,
yes, with that table.
we're ready to go. Okay, sick, man.
And then after a couple months, his family stuff works itself out, and he comes back, and now we rotate. And after that, the rule at that table became, if you're here long enough, you have to DM.
Wow. Okay.
So and right now, as of now, our schedule, we have basically like to plan out our campaigns in advance. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna run for 12 weeks, and then when that's done, it'll go around to my wife, and then she'll run for a couple weeks, and then it'll be Brendan, and then
dude, that's rad.
Be Francis again, and okay, well my guy's got to be level 12 because now I got the guys crossing over between the games because we finished Curse of Strahd and got warped out to the one thing, but the one guy got lost along the way, and now he's in my world.
Let's go. So these two worlds are now like lateral.
Yes, they're
that's
like
sick.
colliding. Yeah. And my friend Francis doesn't know this, so this is a secret. Don't tell Francis, everybody.
Now, is that the guy that got left behind? That is going to get
he's the guy.
backloaded?
No, he's the guy who had to stop for a while, and he came back in.
Copy. Sick.
Francis doesn't know this.
So
in Francis's game, go ahead.
Well, just whenever and I just want to toss that as well. Amon made a great point. He's like, sometimes the group dynamics can be responsible, like, 100%. Betting, trying to get a solid session zero, but then at the same time, sometimes something will happen to some family or the situation changes, they can't be there. It's tough.
Yeah, one of the other players had to leave because his family life got messed up, and then we just brought another guy in who kept hearing, you guys play D&D, right? Can I play? And we were like, we got 4 people and we're not really sure. Plus, we weren't at a good story beat to introduce a new player at the time. But then we worked it out when the other guy had to leave, so.
Well, did that, and Gervanch agreed. Shout out to this heroic display you have behind you. We're all just kind of stunned by that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like I got a tree, I got a palm. That's it. I wish I had that. But man, like whenever you took that group, whenever they were going to play Curse of Strahd, did that immediately start as homebrew? Did you slide into this world that you've been building for a decade? Or
no, I had not built a world for a decade. I had not built anything.
You just sort of like been interested and adjacent to it, and
exactly. Philosophically, I figured I had been watching a lot of Matt Colville's Running the Game on YouTube, and if you're not familiar with Matt Colville, he's one of the best D&D YouTubers in the world.
Yeah, no, Colville's great.
And his whole philosophy I can sort of extract is build it when you need it. Not when you don't, right? Don't create things that you don't need because it doesn't help you.
Yeah.
And so I needed I needed a town and a little area around there, and I started with that, and that's basically where it grew from there. I started running the classic adventure N1 against the Cult of the Reptile God is what I started them off with.
Got you. Don't recreate the wheel, dude. That's completely correct. The-Man, appreciate you rolling through.
Yeah, almost everything that I run is published content that I've torn apart and screwed with and mixed up. So my world has stuff from the Forgotten Realms in it. It has stuff that's from like the 4th edition Nentir Vale. It has stuff from Greyhawk. Basically, I dropped the city of Greyhawk in, and I scrubbed out Greyhawk, and I wrote Steelhaven.
And that is what D&D, I think, is all about, right? Is like reskinning, sort of repurposing. Sometimes you don't want to or don't need to, and that can be fun too, to like really, really play it true to
eat a taco.
Whatever. Oh my God, eat a taco, brother. You absolutely. Man, that's rad. Well, these segues have been perfectly timed. I guess you got the PDF with my questions on it. I appreciate that. I've been hacked. But you talk about the kind of preference, right? You usually run adventure campaigns, but then we'll reskin them, we'll repurpose them. Do you feel that is like the best way for a new DM? Or do you think that they should just come in, like run it as is? Because I think, and just to sort of toss it out, the feedback I've gotten, I feel like what I hear frequently is DMs that have gotten in and either feel very stuck and afraid of reskinning, or have started off homebrewing and feel a little bit overwhelmed and lost.
So my recommendation anytime somebody is like, what should I run? Should I run the thing from the starter set, or should I picked up this giant book and I'm excited to run it, but people said it's hard to run. I always tell them, run the thing that you're excited by, because that's gonna, that passion is gonna carry through 100% more than reading a thing that someone else said you should run this, but then you read it and it's not something that you're interested in. That's actually, now that I think about it, that is part of what led to the collapse of one of my groups early on, was I was trying to run Lost Mines of Phandelver, and I get to the second chapter, the Red Brand Hideout, and I'm reading it from the perspective of someone who's not really got a whole lot of experience running D&D. But in my head, it's all this crazy shit, and I'm like, these are some human bandits in a basement?
Yeah.
Game been around 45 years, this is the best we got?
Yeah.
Like, can't we, and I was like, maybe I was afraid to reskin it. I was like, well, I don't care about the stats, I understand that. But what if they were like insane dwarves, or, something like that, or they were in a different location? What if I just got a different map and did that? And I was afraid to do that, because I was like, well, this is the starter adventure, it's supposed to work. I'll just run it exactly the way it is, and my dispassion for that, I think, showed through in the session, and that led to kind of some players acting out to create drama and something like that, and it fell apart from there.
Got you. Man, that's well put. And in a wise sort of, lesson, right, is that you got to follow the fun. I mean, like, you need to be having a good time as a DM. That doesn't necessarily mean, like, not indulging your players or not finding ways to, like, really set them up to succeed. But if you're not having a good time, man, like, that's going to translate. I feel that same way often in performance, where, if there's an audition, if I have like 2-3 pages and I can break it down. I can try to figure out, of course, what show it's for, what network, try to piece together what kind of tone they might want. But at the end of the day, like, if I'm not like getting my own pulse going by it, or like if I'm not making my own self laugh, then like, what the fuck am I doing? Right. That's awesome. Well, that is great advice. Great point. Amon, appreciate you rolling through. Says that they have their DM for the Curse of Strahd uses that campaign to develop things, so they can sort of use those RP moments in Strahd. So most of it's already done. Got you. Not much reskinning there. Copy that. But when the story is done, talks about player details, so you can use them for the real world when they go back after Strahd. Yeah, I mean, and that's what I like about you, kind of ripping this player that had been left behind and bringing them back into another world. Like somebody that's just been in Barovia, woo, like getting back from World War I or something. Yeah. It's very jarring.
Unfortunately, we did not treat it that way.
Oh, really? Like he doesn't remember it, or Barovia was different?
No, we got fed up.
Like in Strahd.
Yeah, we got fed up.
Okay, so don't spoil it too much. I'm like,
I won't spoil it
like
too
5
much,
sessions.
but there's... have you met Madame Ava yet?
No.
And had your fortune read? No.
Haven't.
Okay. So, the least way I can spoil this, there are gonna be some MacGuffins that you guys are told the locations of, right?
Gotcha.
And so we get 2 of the MacGuffins, and we go where the 3rd one is, and it's in this town we've never been to before. And basically, we're like, we need to get this thing, and then we can go kill Strahd, and then that's it. So we literally get to the doors of the town, and we bang on the door, and the guards start coming, and we're like level 7. We're like level 6 or 7, so we're like yoked, and we're ready to go.
Yeah. Once you
and
get
the
to level
guards
5,
come out, and we just kill the guards, and we're like, who's in charge? We know you know where the thing is. Give it to us so we can go kill Strahd. We don't care. We don't care.
'Twas a blustery night, dude. That's aggressive. Let's call it what it is, dude. That's 2nd-degree murder. No, that yeah, dude, I love that. You're like, we arrived there, we're like, throw open the doors. It sounds like Amon just met this fortune teller and has moved past that. Dude, yeah, I mean, the story is going to be the story, and oftentimes it's going to be so dictated by the table and how you run it. That's amazing, man. V-Man says, the library tries hard to find the game that matches the player. They will be more likely to get others to play if they want to play themselves, be it D&D, DCC, Firefly, Buffy, Star Wars, or countless other systems. Completely agree. And Amon kind of makes that point too, where like almost as a player, you need to be sure like, hey, not only of course is this like the system I want to play, but do I want to play this character? Do I want to play this like gimmick, you know, half tiefling, rogue bard or whatever?
There are things just in the player's handbook, let alone all the other stuff, that I don't care about. I don't want to be this guy.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that feeling is important to suss out and know from everyone that's coming to the table, right? Because we're all like equally participating. We want to be equally excited about it. So with that in mind, man, let me ask you, like, what is your approach? You know, if it's a new campaign, say with like, you know, 4 or 5 people you know, or you know, if somebody like reaches out, they want you to run a game for them. Like, how do you approach those session zeros and kind of sitting down with, let's say, a table of 4 and getting that off the ground?
So I very often have multiple ideas that I want to run
for the campaign.
In the future of like my D&D career, right? Like I have a whole like idea for a lost dwarven. It's called the Lost Gods, where like the dwarves in my world don't have gods. They used to believe that the gods were like above ground, and then they got there and elves were there, and like, these guys aren't the gods. They don't even have beards. Clearly there's no god, right? And so recently in my world, someone has unearthed like a like temple to like dwarven gods that they don't exist. They're not even the old dwarven gods, because those are the gods of the Dwagar in my world.
I'm not familiar with that.
The Dwagar are like the Underdark. You know how the Drow are like the Underdark elves? Sure. The Dwagar are the underground dwarves, right?
Oh, interesting.
And so for them, in my world at least, the idea for them is that they still worship the dwarven gods, right?
Gotcha.
Like a bunch of dwarves went to the surface and they came back and they're like, guess what? No god.
Nothing.
And these dwarves were like, no, still God. Definitely, the gods still exist. And so there was a big war, and then they got driven further underground, and now all that stuff. So the idea is, like, they find this abandoned temple of dwarven gods that aren't the Dwagar gods. So everybody's like, what is this? And I have, like, a whole... It's vague, but I have a whole, like 1 to 10 campaign arc, like, in my head for that. And so I just put it on the list, and I say, hey, and the rule is everybody has to be a dwarf. I'll let one guy be a tourist and one guy be a halfling. But other than that, everybody has to be a dwarf.
Got you, okay.
And one day, I will put that on the table, and a bunch of players will be like, we all get to be dwarves, let's do that one. That sounds cool.
Got you.
But most of the time, people go, not that one, what else you got? And I got, okay, well, I've got this module that I've wanted to run. I've always wanted to run the Temple of Elemental Evil. I want to run... this thing from 4th edition. I've got a couple ideas, and then I always have or something else on the list.
Got you. Okay.
Or go ahead.
Oh no, I'm right there with you. Is this like? Are you running any active campaigns right now?
Yes, I am running. Well, I guess 2. Because the local group came back around to me kind of unexpectedly. One player was supposed to be running a Ravnica game, and he was supposed to run it a little bit further, but then he got to a certain point and he was like, I ran out of stuff. So I guess it's you now.
The campaign's
I'm like, great.
Yours.
And that same week, I had just started a Spelljammer game because we wrapped on the CU Space Cowboy actual play podcast with 16, 17 episodes of it. And so I was like, I just want to like run D&D shit for a while because I know how to do it and I won't have to think too much about it. Because the way I run CU Space Cowboy is very focused on the characters and their arcs. And I sort of just wanted something where that didn't matter for a while. And I was like, Spelljammer was a great setting for that, because I was basically like, you guys will go from point A to point B, and a bunch of weird shit's gonna happen in the middle, and your character backstories don't matter.
Got you. That's hilarious. Well, is that so, you know, so maybe Spelljammer wouldn't be the best example in this one. Are you super concerned with like character backstory? I
go back and forth.
Like, got you. So it sounds like it's usually some version of, you know, okay, hey gang, you know, are we feeling, which of these campaigns are you feeling, right?
Right.
And then off of that, kind of being like, cool, maybe these are some expectations within that, you know, maybe these are some limitations or whatever it would be.
I'll tell them when I start, I'll be like this, okay, well, we picked the Dwarven Lost Gods campaign. Okay, well, if your backstory is that you're from over here, you're never gonna go there. You're just not, it's not gonna happen, so don't worry about it.
Got you.
Right?
Got you.
But then a different campaign might be like, okay, this one's really going to be about your backstory and exploring that and all that stuff.
Okay, cool. And dude, these are also giving me some great ideas. Like I'm sure that's what leads also to Kickstartering campaigns, is being like, yo, this is a great idea. I'm into this. Let's roll this. Okay, cool. So, Amon says, Amon, correct me, you're in Austria, right? Started out D&D translating Warlock pages to German out of interest. Sounds similar to Onslaught holding on to this, like, you know, NES cookbook of how to play second AD&D simulators. That's so great. Yeah, Cowboy Bebop and Spelljammer would be rad. Space Cowboy Cello Buster would be absolutely rad. Yeah, I mean, that's sick. And V-Man agreed. I mean, the idea of Lost Gods for dwarves would be super cool. You know, the creativity, right? That wanting to create, wanting to sort of build out, and especially in the shadow of Colville's advice, right? Of not wanting to build whenever you don't need to, or whenever it's like necessary. Can often, I think, be like a really fine line. So let's say that, you know, you are a DM that has years experience, you've run a couple campaigns, so you feel pretty, you know, comfortable with that process. Whenever someone is setting out to do like a completely homebrew, like, you know, not even reskinning, but just trying to really kind of start from scratch, are you find yourself like starting with a map? I mean, are you like super big picture? Is there one event and you're super micro and then you build out from that and like a spider web? What is your process?
I've never started from scratch. I always steal from the best.
Cool. Hell yeah.
Like everything I use just takes pieces from things. I'll always have some sort of adventure, even if it's just the end dungeon. I'll pull from something else. I'll find it, because every arc of my campaigns always ends with a big dungeon. I tell everybody that straight away. I'm like, listen, at the end of this, there's gonna be a big dungeon that's at least 2 levels big.
Get ready.
You know, 40 rooms, and you're gonna have to engage with that because it's Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In between there's gonna be lots of little one-shot shit and stuff that maybe doesn't have anything to do with the main story, just because I like doing that.
Gotcha.
Because I always try to liken D&D is like a 200 episode shonen anime to me. It's like One Piece or DBZ, right?
Hey, yeah, sell it to Jay Crane Dancer, all right? Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's a 200 episode installment.
Yeah.
Of what was the genre of anime?
Shonen
exactly.
fighting anime.
Yeah.
Like,
let's fucking go. Oh man, that's so good. Well, yeah, man. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, stealing from the best is always wise. Is that for you typically more video games, more kind of books? You know?
It's mostly published material. I buy a lot of OSR stuff, which is the old school revival or Renaissance If anyone's not aware, there's tons of that stuff out there, and there's more and more of it every day. And a lot of it's super cheap. You can buy a whole like 32-page PDF for like $5.
Damn, that's rad. Rad. Okay.
And that'll have dungeons in it. It'll have towns. It'll have all kinds of crazy monsters and shit you can use. There's so much material in Drive-Thru RPG and the DM's Guild. It's not. There's a great website called AdventureLookup.com where if you need something for your game, you can just go find it, right? Like if you're like, I need a dwarven mine. I set up a dwarven mine and the players need to go to it. Now I need a dwarven mine for level 8. And it's like, okay, level range like 5 to 8 and type in dwarven mine and it'll give you every adventure that people have tagged with dwarven mine.
That's great.
And then you can just go read them and be like, oh, this one seems cool, and you buy it and then you use it.
Yeah, that's sick.
And you might have to change a bunch of the lore, and you might have to finagle the map to make it work for your needs or whatever. But I often find that yes, great place to start. I find that is less daunting than the blank page.
Yes,
when I was doing music, that was very often the hardest thing to do, was start from the blank page. And so a lot of the time I would take other songs and start from there. I would take a chord progression from another song and start riffing over it, and then you remove that part and suddenly it's your own song.
Interesting. Yeah, that's wild. I love, Amon tosses out that a tip for a homebrew setting is listening to one's players.
Yes, that's also true.
That's a bugle.
That's a good one.
Amon with the knockout punch. No, but 100%, because like but then you have a resource like that, right? Whereas the story is organically moving, if it's more kind of sandbox or if it is a very specific kind of campaign, then you're able to kind of fit that to it. I love that idea, Onslaught. That's super helpful because, you know, what I'm trying to do as a DM is some combination of get my rocks off with storytelling and make sure that I incubate my players equally storytelling, while also thirdly not spending 8 hours a week. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm out here like we're all gig workers or trying to hustle, do whatever.
I do 2 lunch breaks.
100%.
That's what my prep is.
There you go. And that's a great system to have because you lock it in. Same thing. Mine is more like either, you know, Mondays I'll stream, sometimes in the afternoon some prep, or Monday nights is usually whenever I spend that time. But the point is you kind of cap it, right? You have to think like, all right, like what is the most important for me to do, for me to get ready? And if I have resources, typically things like maps, then that is the most significant kind of time saver. Red Sage!
Cut your time in half. Yeah, Red Sage, what's up?
A Prince! Chilling here with Onslaught 6. You guys know each other. Introduce, shake hands. Gravanch says, right, now I can relate. Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, if you're not, I think, you know, good artists borrow, great artists steal, right? That also kind of rubs me the wrong way because sometimes lightning really does strike and you're like, holy shit, that's a great idea. Like, I hadn't fucking thought of that. So it can be both, but whenever you're taking in a great novel, whenever you're taking in a well laid out adventure book, whenever you're playing a sick riff that is already from an established musician, your hands, your body, your mind is walking through like more or less a successful example. And I think that's always helpful. You know what I mean?
Builds the muscles.
Exactly. And like whenever I'm trying to do something I haven't done, I'm more just thinking like back in the day, learning sports or learning technique, having it broken down is helpful. Having it described is helpful, but seeing it in action is really, really helpful.
Or doing it yourself.
100%, like kind of both. But I
say this, I run a workshop at, more like a panel at conventions about making your own TTRPG because I've done that. And the thing that I say is once you have as much of the rules that you can get on a page to explain to people, you need to play test that. You need to get your friends and you need to trick them into playing the game. And you need to create some characters and you need to start playing it. Because in 10 or 15 minutes, just of character creation, you will learn things about your game that you didn't know you needed to know.
Yeah, for sure.
We had a whole argument about if duffel bags can be inside other duffel bags.
That's funny. I mean, if they're empty, right? But wait, was duffel...
No, because they gave you more inventory slots was the property.
Oh, got it. Yeah, that's
They're
absurd.
like, oh, I can just have infinite inventory space. I said, no, that's not.
That's absurd. Root of all beers, welcome my dog. Good seeing you. Dude, I still need to get my hands on that dice bag. My brother's playing hard to get. But I'm glad you're here, man. Hope this Wednesday's treating you well. I think you know Onslaught. Very talented. Nice, let's fucking go. That's awesome.
These are my Adonises.
That's rad.
I buy a lot of like
pretty.
vintage out of print 90s Chessex.
Cool. I'm not familiar with that. Amon says
Chessex is the main brand. I mean, if you just see, these normal ones, right? These you can buy these for like $10 anywhere. Well, they've been doing that for 30 years, and some of the colors are out of print now. And I just like buying the old 90s ones that are out of print because they're like expensive now. That
one looked kind of neon and very sort of strange.
Yeah, it's like blue and green.
Yeah, that's it. Amon, great comment. Just that a horror theme, you can like read a book relative to that. Like if you're getting ready to, run Curse of Strahd, maybe crank open Frankenstein. I mean, if for no other reason,
Dracula more than Frankenstein.
Well, that'd be an option, but I prefer Frankenstein as a novel. Okay. I more just mean in terms of the slow creep of terror.
Right.
Like the capturing of that.
Do not read the I. Strahd novel because that's bad.
I've never even heard of that. That's funny.
Yeah, in the 90s, it's basically like Strahd's autobiography. It's his journal, right? And we used it as a prop in our game.
Wait, we're under attack. We're under attack, Onslaught. Hang on to that thought. Matty P, get in here, dog.
Dude, 12 people.
I don't think we've had the pleasure, Matty P. Yo, bugles up. I'm Carpe the DM, Carpe and DM here on Twitch. Play a lot of D&D, host some live plays. Typically on Wednesdays, run a little segment called Between Two DMs. Well, I sit down with other dungeon masters, game masters, much like the Red Sage. But thank you so much for the raid, man. I assume you're a D&D leggy, but let me know. Dude, can't stay, gotta go to work, goodbye. Dude, guy comes in, kisses me on the lips, says he has to leave. I'll be here waiting for you, Prince.
Swig of water for the worker man.
I'll be right here. Man, yeah, respect that. Matty P, get in here. Thank you so much for the follow as well, guys. I'm here with Onslaught 6. He is a TTRPG content creator, very talented DM in his own right. We're talking about, a lot of things. I mean, kind of getting to know him, what brought him to the table, his process for beginning new campaigns. Hey, Feldspar, appreciate you. Legend, get in. Ye are welcome. Ye are welcome. We're also hearing what he typically does whenever he opens and runs Kickstarters, which, I think more kind of in the second half of the interview, we'll properly pull that up. We'll kind of go through it. But how long was it just in terms of your timeline where, okay, cool, you've jumped from Curse of Strahd, you run this other game. Now you're like running games. You're I assume playing in them as well?
On and off. Like I said, we started rotating the group after that, and when the pandemic happened, our local group had to shut down, even though we all worked together, so we were all still seeing each other every day. But we were just like, just to be safe, we won't be going over to each other's houses for 3 or 4 hours on Sunday. So that got put on hold, and I ended up in a game with the guy who played 3.5 for me. He started running a 5e game, and that was fun. And it was a lot of old friends from the Mega Man adjacent expanded fandom, let's say, which is also where I met Cello Buster in chat.
Let's go. Wait a minute. And Buster, feel free to slide in here. Is it literally a Mega Man TTRPG?
No.
Okay.
No, we're just all a friend group from like this expanded Mega Man fandom.
Sick.
All, like, we used to hang out on Tumblr a lot and sort of adjacent websites.
Love that. Okay, now I'm
not yet. That is true. I am working on that sorta. In fact, do I have the? Yes, I put out the one pager for it.
For the Mega Man TT.
I designed a 1-page Mega Man X style tabletop RPG called Irregular.
That is sick. This is just sort of tangential, but I'm really getting into Mega Man's moveset on Smash Bros. Ultimate. Really enjoying that. And it's like kind of taking me down this weird path of realizing how fucking sick Mega Man is. I mean,
Mega Man's dope.
Like, dude's got a million tools. He's built like a 12-year-old boy. He's like this hero that's like got this Peter Pan.
Well, then there's the X series, which is all like dark. It's the dark future, right?
Oh, I'm not even familiar. Didn't even know.
Oh, you should play Mega Man X.
I have some work.
The dark future.
I have some work to do. That's hilarious. Well, Matt is an amazing RPG. I need a creator and YouTuber. Appreciate the raid. I'm gonna scope all you guys stuff out. Let me know also in chat, anyone that just swung through. Are you a streamer? Are you a D&D perp? I need to know. That's really the only. I'm new to the Twitch space, but that is what brought me. That's sort of my interest. Yeah, perpetrator of D&D. Well, that's amazing, man. So, I mean, I'm tempted to dive down some spitballing of what it would look like for you to create, to find something adjacent to rip and turn into a Mega Man RPG, and then, to take that to Kickstarter.
I think it was super simple. Was it D6s? I think it was just all D6s, and you get to add a second D6 if it was your power. And I think if you got a 6 or above, you succeeded.
Gotcha.
I don't remember. It's been a minute. But the main thing, and I used it to explore. So this is the spoiler. Every Tidal Wave Games game so far is actually about trauma.
Oh, got you. Hey, spoiler. So's D&D. Like, I'm ready. Yeah. I'm here.
but I mean, like, deep. And so I was like, what is the way? How do you mechanize the players talking about their trauma? How do you do that? And so whenever you fail in irregulars, your stuff goes. Don't say the P word. We don't say the P word anymore.
Oh,
teleport. We don't say that. We don't say.
Oh God, you're talking about teleport
anymore.
Well, I like the idea of turning trauma into a mechanic, although obviously that's like
you
gotta be sure.
Whenever
everybody cool with
whenever
it.
you do, yeah, you gotta make sure this is a super heavy safety tools game.
Sure.
You gotta like really like put the brakes on what you're doing to make sure everybody's gonna be okay with everything.
Yeah, that sounds wise.
What is the where was I talking about? So if you fail, your stress goes up, and the only way to make your stress go and if your stress reaches a certain point, you go irregular, which means your robot switch turns in your mind, and you like panic and become one of the bad guys. And the only way to make your stress go down is after the mission. If you didn't go irregular, you have to actually talk to another person about like what you've experienced or elements of your backstory, and if you do that, your stress goes down.
That's great.
It mechanically incentivizes the players to role play with each other and talk to each other.
And is it as simple like and that's an amazing concept. Is it as simple as the mission is completed, they come back and it's like, yo man, like can you put on a pot of tea real quick? And it's just like them rapping. Like there's no rules, right?
I think I called it sharing.
Gotcha. Okay. Delport.
This was also for Twitter was running like a one-page RPG. I think it was a contest or a jam or something like that. So it had to fit on literally like one page, all of the rules. So it's not very like complicated or deep.
Cool. That's a good. I mean, even just trying to start with that. Can I do it? Can I lay out my concept in one page?
Yes.
It's a good way to come from.
I sort of achieved it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I would have liked if I had a table to generate numbers, but whatever.
I want to get to this come real quick because Delport, I appreciate you popping through. Thank you very much. Are you familiar with the Father of Death? I understand you're not saying that. Like, was there some sort of problem with?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, copy. Well, I'm not familiar. I'll scope it out. I appreciate you guys rolling through. So let me ask you, man, just in general, because you've added so much. You've taken cool stuff. You've been influenced by a ton of different sources, right? That have kind of brought you to this point of now, DMing kind of across the board, a lot of different systems. Is like, whenever you're building that toolbox, have you found things that you really like? I would just love to know some things that didn't work that you thought were going to, and kind of in general, maybe some, I don't know.
In game design or D&D specific?
Yeah, D&D doesn't have to be D&D specific. That's like typically what I'm interested in, but really just in game design, because I love the stress thing. I think that functions really, really well.
Yeah, and so one thing that's going to require is it's going to need playtesting to figure out the numbers. How much is too much? How much is too much stress? How often do players fail that their stress builds up? And what is a good number for them to go irregular? How much should stress go down? And the only way you figure stuff like that is by doing it a bunch. And figuring out, okay,
would you say it?
D6 of stress getting resulted was too much.
Yeah. Where did you land on it? Like, was it like?
It's not finished. I didn't.
Oh,
I never play tested it. It was one page. I didn't really get that far. We were supposed to play test it with my CU Space Cowboy AP group, or a selection of guys, and we just scheduling fucked it all up.
Yeah, that can happen.
Doing something.
Well, what are some other things, like whenever you're not even necessarily game design, but like running a game, like when you're DMing and you're moving from that early session 0, first maybe 5 sessions, now you're like moving into the campaign. What are some kind of tips and tricks that you have found just particularly satisfying or helpful to you?
I reuse a lot of stuff.
Cool.
Especially because I tend to run. I have a disease where I have to GM, I think.
Yeah.
like if I end up a player in my local game,
I
start a game online.
Just because you need a DM one too.
I need an outlet to be doing this, to keep the muscles fresh, and sort of to try out new ideas and screw around with stuff and see what's working and what's not, kind of for my main game eventually.
Sure, got you.
And so for a lot of that, I reuse encounters all the time. I got this great one. I call it Airy Botter.
Airy Botter, that's so good.
I call it Airy Botter.
It's proprietary, all right? It's look out, do not.
There's a guy who is running a traveling play, okay?
Okay.
And it's about this boy wizard who works for Mordenkainen, right?
Wait, I'm not familiar with that.
Mordenkainen is one of the legendary named NPC characters of D&D. He's like an important guy. He's Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes and Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse. Those are 2 5th edition books that just came out.
I know Monsters of the Multiverse.
That's a player character. Yeah. He was actually Gary Gygax's wizard character.
Sick.
Right? And then when he got ousted from the company, Mordenkainen became like IP of Wizards of the TSR then, and then Wizards of the Coast. So he's just a character. But so this guy is the story of Airy Botter is that he works for Mordenkainen, who is kind of a Dumbledore figure in this.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't like Harry Potter. That's why I made it like this.
Got you. Harry Potter. Yeah, sure.
Harry Potter.
Definitely take the piss out of it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. That's super fun to just say that. It's Harry Potter. But so the thing is that this Mordenkainen, this actor playing Mordenkainen, purports himself to be the real Mordenkainen, and he has also locked this kid actor in this contract for he's 17, right? But he's playing an 9, 10, 11-year-old, right? So he's like, I don't want to do this anymore, help me. He if the players manage to get backstage and talk to him, they're like, get me out of this, I don't want to be here anymore. And so they have to deal with this guy who thinks he's Mordenkainen and do all this stuff. And I have used that encounter in 5 or 6 games.
Damn, that's rad, man.
That's a whole night of play that you can just use and drop in your, once you've run it once, it's a one and done. They go to a town, they do the thing, and then they leave, and I don't even care if they kill the dude or whatever, right? It's fine. We'll figure it out. I'm not too stressed about the continuity of stuff like this, because all of my games take place within the same world.
Got you. And is there... I'm assuming from this reuse that there is a pretty significant turnover of like a lot of different new players.
Sometimes.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Because even if it's not, that's a wise tip for any.
Well, here's the thing. If they don't, here's the thing. The players, I can adjust that encounter in all sorts of ways. I can replace half of the cast, so to speak. I can change the whole way it is. Maybe in one time I've ran it, they're a welcome thing in the town, and in another time they don't want these traveling actor wizard guys. They think it's weird. So the town is sort of like, can you get these guys out of here? They've been here for 4 months. You know? And so a player who maybe experienced it in a welcoming town last time, now they're experiencing it from a completely different point of view. And so the situation has completely changed. And while the content is basically the same, because now I have that character in my head, I can just run that without even thinking of it.
Sure.
Right? Their approach to the situation is going to be different. And it's going to be inherently different because they're playing different characters, maybe even at different levels.
For sure. Definitely saving yourself time by taking anything that works and reusing it is going to be wise. I mean, that's also can be a version of reskinning, right? Where you're more or less taking.
That's exactly it. I'm reskinning my own
structural-
content at that point.
For sure. But finding a way that it fits in with this group of characters, this new world. That's rad, man. Well, let me ask. I'd love to sort of, slide over. You dare use my spells against me. Exactly. You turn the magic back upon them. So let's maybe hop over, man, and check out a little bit of this Kickstarter. That'd be tight.
Sure.
Like, I'm curious. I need to adjust my man's nameplate. Apologies. There we are. There's my boy. Let me bring it up. This is Onslaught was telling me this is his second. Okay, I thought you had done two, and this was the third. Very well.
No, this is the second one.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. The planet that never sleeps.
Yes, Ceres, the planet that never sleeps. Some people will say Ceres. I don't actually know the real pronunciation. I just say Ceres.
Hey, you tell us, man. You're the creator. Ceres, it is. That's sick, man. So, give us the rundown. Like, what is it?
Well, so Ceres, the planet that never sleeps, is a setting and bounty module for CU Space Cowboy, the sci-fi space bounty hunter jazz fusion role-playing game. And Ceres was first mentioned in, so I've always been fascinated by Ceres. I think it comes actually from Final Fantasy VI, because there's a character called Celes, which I think is a mistranslation either on our end or their end. And the idea that, so the main character in that game is named Terra in America, but not in Japan. And I always thought there was an interesting duality between like Terra, aka Earth, and Ceres. And Ceres is a real asteroid in the asteroid belt. And I think it actually qualifies as a dwarf planet the same size as Pluto now. Right?
Oh, wow.
And so I've always been fascinated by the idea in like a sci-fi setting of like Ceres counting as a planet now.
That's cool. I love that.
And that's where it started, and it just sort of, I actually have it detailed in the main book, just like a short paragraph or so.
Yeah, I think
alongside like Mars and Luna, the moon, and all that stuff.
That's so sick. Like, using something that's so real world like that, you know what I mean? Like, that's essentially, people know that reference. Like, the idea of a planet no longer being a planet, but then being named a planet. The whole do-si-do with Pluto over the last 7-8 years. I love that, man. So it takes place on that planet. It says the planet that never sleeps. That kind of hits me as like, it's Las Vegas. You know,
right.
Is that the
tone? Well, it's that, but also, that is the tone. It's also, it's Night City, it's Blade Runner's LA, it's every cyberpunk city that you've ever seen or heard, and everything that's in that is within Ceres, and you can sort of use it to expand out into whatever tone you want. On top of that, the planet that never sleeps comes because a day cycle on Ceres is only 9 hours, and this is real world stuff. It takes 9 hours for it to like rotate and have a day.
That's pretty quick rotation.
So because it's only 9 hours, nobody's schedule aligns. So everybody's always sleep deprived. We're always awake. We're always doing everything. So it's just, it never sleeps ever.
Got you, because of the rotation. That's intense. Right. That's really cool. Well, how long is this trailer video? Should we watch it?
I think it's 2 or 3 minutes. We can watch
let's do a little scopesies. Let me kill this track, this backing track, and then dare we?
Ceres, the planet that never sleeps. Hell of a place to be awake, too. And nowhere better to be. It's humid and sticky from the scheduled rain, and it's alive in a way a lot of the system isn't. Yeah, they say all this shit about humanity's real home being Earth, but here on Ceres, you can feel the future actually forming up. And it's a future not meant for you. Unless you're mean and lean and ready to act without hesitation. If you don't have the cash or the connections, you better have nerves of steel and an iron will.
Just like LA,
you
baby.
Be able to flow at the moment. There's malls and concerts and shopping and TV and convenience stores because people live here. But what you're here for is the hustle, the catch and the chase. You're here to claw your own piece of the future for yourself with your own hands. Welcome to Ceres.
That's sick,
Try not to die.
Okay, quick pause. That's sick. Dude, that reminds me so much of Sin City. I feel like I was about to see Mickey Rourke come out there. The all or nothing days. You know, just like the fucking, like somebody ate a cigar.
Yeah, there's some Sin City in there.
And then
sure.
blew someone's head off with a sawed-off shotgun, and then hopped into that recording
super
booth.
in the tone of Space Cowboy. That is 100% something.
Well, giddy up, cowboy. Let's go.
I mean, smoking is literally a mechanic in this game.
Dude, just like Red Dead, let's get it.
+1 to all cool breaks and staves off hunger.
That is so good. Dude, I enjoy that. Okay, let's get, I want to keep watching this.
The Planet That Never Sleeps is a 40-plus page setting and bounty module for CU Space Cowboy, but can easily be used in any space or sci-fi tabletop RPG system. Features include 36 detailed locations to hunt bounties in, 18 bounties with portraits ready for you to drop in.
I know this guy, I know this
tables
room.
to instantly add flavor, super cool city point crawl map, a dope corpo-fascist cyberpunk world built by Made of Tin, killer artwork by Jackie King, Tyler Hogarty, and Mitch Speck, who all worked on the core rulebook, useful, gameable faction write-ups to make the world feel alive, numerous NPCs ready to interact with your outlaws, and disease-ridden rats! Welcome to Ceres. Try not to die. In 2021, we launched the Kickstarter for our sci-fi space bounty hunter jazz fusion role-playing game, CU Space Cowboy, to great success. We finally finished the book in February of 22 and sent everything out. In the meantime, we've been working hard on the first major supplement to the game. Unlike our last Kickstarter, this one is already much further along. The book is already written and laid out.
Let me just stop that. The fact that it is a compendium, more or less an adventure guide for a system that you created, is dope as fuck. Love that. And I mean, obviously, like, cool and insular, but helpful, man. Like, that was necessary for, you know, pretty much, I mean, every iteration of D&D until I guess like 3.5 maybe, but like they needed that, like, not hand-holding, but just examples, how to use it, how these metrics could come into play. You know, people that populate this world.
We can pay the artists, writers, and editors to help get it across the finish line in a much faster timeline than our previous Kickstarter. Our previous Kickstarter had a goal of $600.
Really nicely
probably
laid out,
asking,
man.
why is this so much more? The initial Kickstarter for CUSE blew all my expectations out of the water.
I had to learn
now
how to do
we have
layout.
new expectations.
Yeah,
this
right?
time the team and scope has grown.
Oh, sorry.
We've added a third artist, and this time we need to cover the cost of the cover of the book as well as all the internal art. I'd also like to pay everyone more money, which is one of our stretch goals.
Go.
We run simple Kickstarters with simple goals.
We're there for
Make
that.
the damn book. We don't have 30 options and knickknacks and add-ons and stuff to inflate our numbers. That's what our store is for. So all of our stretch goals are simple, and you can check them out down below if you're interested. Hey, if I get $16,000, I'm going to quit my job. So thank you for your support. We wouldn't be able to make CU Space Cowboy or Ceres the Planet That Never Sleeps without your support.
Let me just say, in my line of work, that I fuck with that. I absolutely fuck with that.
All right.
I'm just laughing because, like, dude, I love all of this, and this is super tangential, but I love the idea of in a fictional scripted either short form bit or within a larger half-hour comedy, following you as a TTRPG creator in this scenario. But the idea of, you know, you doing what you do for work and it sort of playing this video. Maybe this is the intro to the comedy bit. It's like this dope-ass trailer doing it, cuts to this, compendium, it's sick. And if we raise 16,000, I'm gonna quit my job.
I'm gonna quit my job.
And then it's just your boss, you know, across the way from you, just like, you're gonna quit your job, Onslaught. Yeah. You're $800 away. You know what I mean? Like, just something like that. And it's just so real world, man. Like, it's so real world to need to find that marriage between passion and a kashish, because it is so hard, of course, to strike that marriage. But let's bring this baby home.
We're a small creator and still getting our name out there. Even if you can't donate to the Kickstarter, share the campaign with your friends. Shout it out on Discord, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you do stuff. Every bit of support and money helps get us across the finish line and make the book a reality. Thanks, and stay gold.
Fucking nailed it, Onslaught.
That's good. I think I had to do because my hair didn't look good in the first one.
You're like, way to retake it. That's great, man. Well, hey.
I showed it to my wife, and she was like, "You really gonna put it out with your hair like that?" And I looked, and I was like, "Shit."
That's funny as fuck. Well, maybe that can be a Kickstarter reward for people that donate at that level, is to see the original raw footage.
The original
bad hair footage, as it were. Oh man, I'm absolutely loving that. Well, I mean, how's it been? I mean, you guys have moved past your pledge goal. That's got to be exciting.
Yeah, it officially ended 2 weeks ago, and So Kickstarter
Yeah.
holds your funds for about 2 weeks because it takes the first week to collect everything from everyone, and then it takes another week for it to process it and all that. So I gave myself a mandatory. I did this the last time I did this. I gave myself a mandatory 2-week vacation. I said you're not allowed to work on this for 2 weeks until the money hits your account. You're not allowed to talk to anybody about it. You're not allowed to have any meetings. You know, you're not allowed to open the document in your thing. You're almost not allowed to make Kickstarter posts. I made 1 or 2. Anyway.
That's sick though, man. That's rad. Well, and I mean, you know, over 200 backers. I mean, what's your normal system for, you know, because of course the content itself is king. As Gurvanch, you know, touched on, the layout is critical in terms of communicating what your message is, being enticing with this branding, being clean and efficient. But whenever you finish this, you know, is it a 6-month process? Is it a 12-month process? Like,
well, we're still learning and figuring that out because so when I've made this first one, none of this existed when I ran the first Kickstarter. I mean, I had written most of the text for the game, and it was just sort of in a Google Doc. Excuse me.
no, go for it.
It was just in a Google Doc that I exported. And one thing that I did, I was a first-time creator. I had never run a Kickstarter for anything before, and I was not very successful with my music career. I'm just
Gotcha.
with the benefit of hindsight, I lost more money than I put into it.
Oh,
Right.
baby boy, I know
And
that dance. Oh, yeah.
I didn't.
One
I just didn't.
way
It
out.
never took off. It never did well. I still liked doing it, and I don't regret doing any of it. But you know, it wasn't successful. So when I started the Kickstarter, I had a very low goal. I think it was like $600, and I expected about 30 people to pledge for it and to fail. That's what I figured. I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna fail. So, but I did everything that I could to set myself up for success. I paid for the cover art ahead of time out of my own pocket. I paid for like 2 or 3 other pieces of art just out of my own pocket. And I put the whole text for the whole thing that I had. I just exported the Google Doc as a PDF, and I put it in the Kickstarter, and I said, hey, read it. You don't know me from Adam. You don't know if I'm a good game designer or not. So just read everything that I've written. And if you want this physically with a bunch of dope new art and to be laid out like professionally and good, then okay, then give me some money and we can make that happen. And so when that happened, the real work started because I had to lay out a book. The person that I originally was gonna have lay it out, that just didn't work out. So I ended up having to do it myself, which I am glad for because now I've learned how to do layout and I actually really enjoy it. It's really fun to lay stuff out. I lay stuff out for fun. I lay stuff out for my own D&D games now. Just presenting information from like the player's handbook or different supplements, or just somebody was playing some class or other, but I needed all the subclass options from across like 3 books. Right?
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to show them all of them at once instead of like, here's they are in this book and that book. So I just copied it all from like D&D Beyond and put it all in my publishing document, and it took me like a half hour, sure. But when it was done, it looked professional and it looked cool, and I had fun doing it. I liked doing it.
That's critical, man. And you learn those skills as you do it, right? I mean, that's I know it can be super hard whenever you're wearing a lot of hats. You really do have to kind of draw those lines and try to be efficient with how you're doing it. Mm-hmm. But the bonus and the silver lining is that you learn those skills. Like you start to hone them, right? Especially if you are starting in a place $600 or, you know, something that's just manageable and approachable. Because, you know, I've only run the first half-hour comedy I put out in 2015. We ran an Indiegogo campaign, and you know, was really helpful. Was, you know, successful in the sense that I think we're trying to raise like 8,000 and ended up raising a little over 4. But on Indiegogo, you keep it regardless. I think they take a higher cut. But I know on Kickstarter, it's sort of, you know, zero sum, right? Like you have to get to the goal or it's returned.
Right.
And I'm just curious, like, this was the feedback I got, again, mostly from filmmakers, but they essentially were like, listen, if you do it on Kickstarter, I would suggest Kickstarter for this reason, but Indiegogo for that, but whatever you do, if it's on Kickstarter, be prepared. to drop $3,000 or whatever and match your donation goal. And like, is that the move?
No.
Okay.
No, the money they give me is the money that I have. I just had a meeting today where I said, well, okay, we got, what was it? 37,000. And then after Kickstarter takes their cut, we have so much. And I literally just told the artist, I said, this is what the budget is. This is what it's going to cost to have the books made. This is what it's going to have to ship them out. This is what we have left over. This is how many people I have to pay. And so this is how much we're going to have. This is how much we're going to have. This is the amount of work we're going to have. Are you okay with these terms? And, and we went from there.
Oh, well, I mean, for sure, maybe I didn't lay it out right. Like, especially in the early days, like if you have a day left on a Kickstarter campaign and you're still short of your goal, would you simply let the goal not hit? Or I'm more just asking for people out there that are running a Kickstarter.
That would depend, I guess. That would depend. Because I thought about it on this one, because the last one, the goal was only 600, and we ended up making 2,600. We funded it in the first day, right?
Oh, sick.
But this time, I knew that, okay, well, on the scale that we have, I figured maybe 50% of the people from the last time would pledge. The budget, the goal for this one was 2,600, which was what we made last time, right? And we ended up surpassing that, but it wasn't until almost halfway through the campaign. And so about halfway through, I'm like crunching the numbers and being like, I don't know where this is going to end up. If it was a couple $100, maybe I would have thrown in, depending on what my own personal finances were at the time.
Sure. I truly only ask.
If we're short $1,000 and we need $1,000, no, I'm not going to throw in, because two things. When I ran the first Kickstarter, I was promoting it a lot on my own personal Facebook, and my grandmother just posted in the comments, I pledged $600, and I'm like, first of all, Grandma, you have to go to the Kickstarter and actually do that if you want to do that. And second of all, keep your money. I don't want your $600, because here's the thing, you don't want the book at the end of the day, right? If people don't want the thing, I don't want to make the thing.
Sure.
Why would I?
Sure.
Like, I mean, obviously I want to make it because it's something I'm passionate about, but if it's not gonna help the business, so to speak, there's no reason to do that. You have to treat it like a business and divorce it from that. The other thing is that different from when I did the first book, it was just a Google Doc. This time I laid out everything beforehand, and everything was already written. Most of the text in the new book was written by my writing partner, Made of Tin, and it was written last year.
Love that name.
Yeah. She wrote all of it last year, because originally it was going to be like a Kickstarter stretch goal. I had sort of promised it as that, and then that didn't work out for various budgeting reasons, so I had to run another Kickstarter. Nobody seems mad about it, so I'm just gonna not worry about it.
Sure. That's an interesting perspective to
So
hear,
everything
man.
had already been done. So when I ran the Kickstarter campaign, I was like, hey, the book is ready to go. It just needs art. I need money for production and art. That's it. So the timeline between this Kickstarter and the release is going to be shorter.
Gotcha.
Because in the time that it took for me to lay out, it was about this time. It was like August or September of last year that this book was laid out and ready for art. Because my process is, you can't have people doing art before your layout is finalized, because then you're going to have all sorts of compounding problems.
Copy that.
Right?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, you need to know what you're getting into before you start running a Kickstarter to fund it. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Man, that's a great perspective to hear. That's an interesting, angle, and definitely in life and definitely in art, if you can almost build in a litmus test, to the pitch, to the process of trying to raise funds, at minimum, you get to feel genuinely of who's in, who's out. Like, God bless you, Grandma, but I mean, are you about to roll a bunch of D6s and kill that dragon?
Exactly.
Like, I don't know.
She's not gonna.
I don't think
she's
so.
not gonna do that.
You got the stomach for it, Grandma? I don't know. But it's like,
I would love to run D&D for my grandma.
Listen, dude, you speak for all of us. I think we all would be on board for that. Your grandmother sounds sweet. Yeah. Anyone that's just down to like support their grandchild blindly with 600 bones, let's go with it.
Yeah.
But man, that's an interesting kind of angle. I think again, you know, it's different because I really, especially with Twitch, like I'm completely fine with it being organic. Like I'm more interested in.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is
connection.
you can't chase only what's gonna be the most successful thing. Because if that was what it was, I would just make 5e supplements all day. That's all I would do.
Sure.
But
No,
this is something
I hear
that I'm
that.
passionate about, and it's enough to sustain the business of making books and having them shipped to my house, and then I ship them out to people.
And see, that's it. And that's such great like advice and perspective to hear, especially like given that, you know, and especially in the backdrop of, you know, leaving a very hard industry, music, like extremely, I mean, rewarding, yes, but extremely challenging in terms of,
Yeah, I don't
you
know how somebody
breaking
makes
in
it
and
these
profitability.
days.
I mean, dude, it's just like many things. I mean, like you need to be good, but you need to, you know, get lucky, and a lot of it is relationships and timing, exposure, etc.
Yeah, and that's real hard to get where I live, which is like central PA.
Sure. And I mean, it's also just fundamentally pretty saturated, right? I mean, like streaming
Yes,
has made
there is so
music.
much music. It's never been easier to get your music out there, and as a result, it's never been harder to cut through the noise.
Yes, and definitely same thing with a lot of content creation in general, be it short form.
By comparison,
or long form.
the tabletop RPG community is very supportive, and there is a lot of noise in it, but it seems like everybody, not to sort of misuse this phrase, but stays in their lane enough that there's a way to find your niche and hit that.
Well, and I think there's also, you know, the big difference is that we don't see, except with, you know, this recent vaulting of Critical Role over the last like 3 years or whatever, like you don't see D&D as being a successful artistic medium at all. You see that with big television and film celebrity. You certainly see it with big music celebrity, right? Where it's like, oh, damn, these people have made it. They are absolutely guapped. They're absolutely checked.
What's making it in the tabletop RPG industry?
Well, for sure. And but I think it's oftentimes the same thing it is for a commercial actor or for anyone. If you're able to support yourself doing it, like you've made it. I mean, like you are in the vast
really the line.
minority. And
if
I
I
just
get
wanted
$16,000, I'll quit my job.
But let me just get this out because like I've been trying to get there on it. An important difference, and one I just want to highlight, if for no other reason that, you know, this is extremely obvious in what Onslaught has just laid out for us in terms of his approach to these Kickstarters, and also that need to be like, hey, I want to do what's fun to me, and I don't want to produce something if it isn't well received in traction, then it feels to me like there isn't a market for it. There is very much in the past 2-3 years, relative to music, relative to content creation, this need for the release, for the online publication, for the video itself, for the Spotify debut, for the YouTube single music video, whatever it would be, for that to immediately have traction. I mean, much like with a successful Kickstarter or Indiegogo, like the first 48 hours are critical. I mean, that's often like make or break in terms of it finding success within the algorithm, traction within the algorithm. And I just want to speak to that, man, because I appreciate so much the perspective you laid out, and it just raises that, the absence of that in oftentimes content creation and music where, dude, I mean, like if you put out an album and it gets 800 streams, like your manager would tell you to take it down. And we're going to circle back in 6 weeks and try to like get this right. And maybe it needs to be like on a Friday instead of a Monday. And hey, we got to go with this different theme. In the same way that like, well, and all that to say that it is exhausting, and it definitely gets away from the joy and the fun of why people make music.
Hey, I made this. Check it out.
Exactly. And so I'm on a very, I've been in LA almost a decade. I've had relatively a ton of success. It's still not enough, right? It's still not what I want. And even just gently wading into the TTRPG space, I see what you have just said, where like people are way more comfortable being who they are, what they are, presenting a product and an opportunity, and being okay leaving that where it is. Like finding a way to get it as good as you can. So I just appreciate that, man. It's very well laid out. It's very different from the background in the world that I come from, but it's one that I see genuinely represented in you and in numerous others within the space. So I appreciate that, dog.
Thank you.
Straight out. Like, it's very refreshing. It's very, very different. I feel like anybody that is in a background in music or content creation feels that. Well, dude, I have to, of course. I say of course because it is necessary. I have to drag you through the rapid fire segment. We're not there yet. It's not time, all right? But I want you to know, it is the storm.
I'm ready.
Is about to break. But dude, I
came prepared, dude.
Yeah, dude, I have no doubt, man. I love it. Like anytime, whenever you held up the NES booklet, I was like mind blown.
I keep that in my studio.
That shit's sick.
Just as like inspiration.
Like there's a lot of stuff that I want to like. Yeah, exactly, dude. Can you link me in Discord some of your stuff?
Onslaught6.com.
Okay, cool.
Or music.onslaught6.com or
On it.
reapersband.com.
Let's go.
Is my other band. If you want synthwave music about Mass Effect that we haven't done in 4
I
years.
honestly like, I enjoy some synth. I mean, I think it's probably not, it's definitely not like Thrasher, but sometimes I fuck with that. Let's fucking go. Archive. So we'll definitely get that in there. I will make that happen for you. But dude, I want to just like, there's just some general cues. I'm curious, like you have, experience across many different systems. And so like, are you the type, like, I feel like you typically have a really strong narrative sense. Am I misinterpreting that? Are you a little more loosey-goosey, or are you like, I feel like you have beats in mind. You kind of have
I have beats in mind.
Cool. And with that backdrop and understanding, are you rolling for events in between sessions?
No. In between sessions, no.
Like you'll be like pick and choose. You'll be like, what reasonably happens, what needs to happen, and then that happens. Got it.
Yeah. If there's a random events table, I'll just look at it and I'll pick the one I want.
There you go.
If I'm prepping or planning out something like that.
Gotcha.
Usually I can try to figure out. A lot of the times, if it's a sandbox type campaign, I'll just ask. The first thing I'll ask the players at the end of the session is, "What are we doing next? Where are you guys gonna go? Tell me what direction on the map you intend to head, so that I can build the content for that." I ran a very open sandbox game for about 4 or 5 months last year. That was all about randomly rolling on tables between locations. It was a full-on hex crawl. I had a gigantic table.
Got it. Cool.
And it was like, okay, well, you can move 4 hexes per day, so you're gonna roll for each one of these hexes. And I created my whole own system for this with 24 events. Right, and when they would use it, I would cross off the list, and then in between, I would come up with new events that got added to the list to replace those. And I actually had, so there were 4 hexes that they would go in. So I would have them roll 1d6 for the first one, 2d6 for the second one, 3d6 for 3d6. Hey, 3d6 for the next one, right? And so they would add those all up. So and then I would sort of figure out what was on the list and arrange it in a narratively satisfying way. Oh, and if they rolled 4 6s, the dragon showed up.
I like that. Damn,
yeah.
I don't even know what
those odds are. It was an adult red dragon.
Are.
They were level 3.
That's so aggressive. You have like a 1 in 900 shot, but it could happen. It could happen.
It happened 3 or 4 times, dude.
Did it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, the dragon kept showing up.
That is insane.
And here's the thing, I make the players roll for it. I don't roll for it behind the screen. I make them roll for it. So the suspense of them, all 4 of them knowing if we all roll 6s, the dragon's gonna show up.
That's so sick, man.
And then when there's 3 of them, and then somebody else rolls the 6, and they're all mad at that player. They're like, "You fucked it up. You fucked us." Now the dragon shows up.
Why did you roll this? That's great. So you let the players roll in that situation. I absolutely love that. That's amazing, man.
Because it's number one, it takes it out of my hands.
Exactly.
It's like,
exactly.
I didn't decide the dragon showed up. You guys did.
Yeah.
That's on you.
That's how I feel about dice rolls in general, but even more so when it's the player rolling it, right? Like I'm running a kind of a revamped version, but an early stages version of Dragon of Icespire Peak for a group of friends.
That was what the basis of my game was. I took all the locations from Icespire Peak, and I just sort of scattered them around this big hex crawl in my world, because
that's sick.
I was like, this dragon is just, he moved into the territory and he fucked all this shit up, and now there's all these problems.
Cool.
And I added some other stuff. I made an orc cult to Nebros.
Nebros, not Thalos. Let's get it. I like that. Yeah, man, because there is a random dragon in table. that like
Right.
I fucking love. Like it's so
Yeah,
sick.
see, I
Even
saw
if
that
it's
and I
just-
was like, yeah, but what if anywhere he showed up?
Sure. It's just because even if it's not the location that they are, I love the idea of
Something
finding
could
out where
happen
it
there.
is and they see it or it's affecting what people are talking about, travel flows in that area. And in
Right.
fact, last session I played with these guys, dude, I realized as they arrived at a location that I hadn't rolled, they traveled and I hadn't rolled, and I was like, oh. And I was in the middle of a bunch of things. We were playing IRL. I was like, yo, I'm going to steal your die real quick and roll this. And dude, I'd never done that in my life. It was literally like my good buddy. Many of these people are first-time players, D&D or anything. Pick it up, and as soon as I pick it up, it felt like sacrilegious. Like I was like, oh shit, I shouldn't pick up like a player's dice, someone else's dice. Like
Never
you know
rub
what I mean?
another man's
It
rhubarb.
really, 100%. But it was like I was moving too quick. Like it was my body acted before my brain, and I pick it up and I drop it. And as I do, he's already like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, yo, that's my die. Like, get your own fucking die. And it rolled a 19.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. I was like, no worries. You're right. I mean, you still could have been cool and given me that roll, but you're right. And I pick it up and I roll it, and I roll a natural 20. And it just so happens that in 3rd edition, Dragon of Icefire, this sends them, I think, like to Coneyberry, but it sends them like sent the dragon to exactly where they were. And it was so beautiful because as I picked up my die, I was like, the dragon is coming to where they are. And not that I was making that decision, I just knew
Right.
the dice
Yeah, it
was
just
about
happened.
to tell me this. And as it did, I turned back to Hamed and I was like, thank you, baby boy. Like, this, all right, you ready? Like, you know what I mean? This thing's going. So that's amazing. Whenever you put that even more so, it's almost the reverse of what happened to me. But whenever you're asking your players to roll and all 4 of them roll 6s, that ain't on you. You know what I mean?
No, it wasn't my fault.
So Onslaught, like, have you ever killed a player?
I've killed player characters.
Yeah, it's like, yo, check your front door, man. Police got you. You killed player characters. Like,
so I've
like
ran-
what happened?
Well, I ran, let's see. The first person I ever killed.
Yeah.
The first person I ever killed was in an online game. They were running the Airy Botter, right?
Oh, wow.
They were
Dangerous.
running the Airy Botter. One of the players had stolen a set of Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments from Mordenkainen's trailer.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
If you're not familiar with this magic item, basically
paint
whatever
something,
you
it
draw,
becomes real.
It becomes real.
Yeah.
So he decides to spend his turn drawing a bunch of dicks on the ground.
About time. About time.
Right?
Yeah, Jester would be proud.
So I say,
Let's go.
all right, a bunch of erect penises pop up on the ground, and now that square is difficult terrain. Your turn
Let's
is
go.
over. Right?
Difficult. Yes, it is.
So then Mordenkainen goes and he casts Fireball, and he like gets an
Wow.
incredibly high roll, and the guy loses his dex save, and he goes down.
On
and
the
then
dicks.
because of the way that he just goes down, right?
I got you.
And so and the way the turn order happened, he was like almost right next. Nobody had a chance to try to revive him, and so he rolls a 1, and he's dead. He's toast, right?
One'll do
And
ya.
so these guys had to. They were sort of in a kind of wildernessy area where there was like one town that they were sort of like building up to fortify against this evil necromancer out of town. So they were like, what can we do to revive him? There's no the player character was like, I'm the highest level cleric for 40 miles and I'm level 4. What can I do? And I was like, well, you could go to Steelhaven. You could cast Gentle Repose on him to make sure his body stops decaying and drag him to the city and revive him. And that actually, he had a piece of the Necromancer's cursed red gold on him, and so the Necromancer was able to use that gold to teleport into the city, killed a bunch of guys, revived a dude as a Death Knight. It was this huge fucking thing.
That'll teach you to use Gentle Repose. Fucking cleric. Oh, man. That's insane.
That happened, and then in the Hexcrawl Dragon of Icefire Peak game, just people kept going down. It just happened.
It does happen.
Mostly, I think it was just they were low level and bad decisions. They were retreating from Airy Botter. I can't believe this is happening.
Airy Botter, I can't get his name out my mouth, dog.
They had come to town, and I think they tied up Mordenkainen or something like that, and they were like, "You're gonna give everybody proper pay or something like they're forming a union or some
God.
shit like that, right?"
Yeah, don't you dare
but then they got
unionize
driven
in a fantasy
they got
realm.
driven out of the town in the middle of the night And so I roll on the random encounter table at night as they're
Sick.
going through the thing, and they hit 2 ogres, right? Which is one of my default encounters. 2 ogres.
I like that.
Right?
Oh, they're
I just
like
throw
bickering.
2 ogres.
Yeah.
And yeah. Well, here's the thing. So they have a cart and all that, and they come up against these 2 ogres, and these 2 ogres like, give us all your money or we'll beat the hell out of you. Yeah, well, he said, but with more swear words. Right?
Yeah.
And so the players are like, fuck these ogres, let's go. But they just fought Morden Kanan and did all this other shit. They haven't had a long rest. They have like almost no hit points. They're out of spell slots and all their shit. So they get smoked and one of the guys dies and they have to retreat and go back to town. It was awful.
A lot of these, I mean, so many of these are truly what can do it, which is just like bad sequence of events. Like a 1 on a death save is hard to recover from, man. Like,
yeah,
that will bone you. That will f up your day. Man. Well, I have come so close, and like, I mean, I fear God.
I come close in almost every encounter.
Exactly. I mean, I like to run it.
If I don't put someone in death saves, I feel like I'm not doing my job.
Got you. Yeah, if it is going to be combat, it either needs to like really be narratively strong, or I want it to feel dangerous. Otherwise, it's like, what are we doing? That's sick. Okay, Onslaught, I feel like as we do the rapid fire, that we should jam some of your tunes, kid. Like, is that just me? Like, can I get a hell yeah from chat? Like, what's up? Or would you rather not? Because like, I mean,
whatever you want. I don't care. I like it. I won't be able to hear it anyway. So.
Oh, got you. Won't be able to hear it. Well, I certainly fucking will. I want to. So what is, if I was gonna jam one track from the from the Onslaught 6, Termina?
Anything from the Peace Through Tyranny or First Blood albums. Don't listen to Down in Flames. That one sucks.
Wait. I'm not seeing them as whole albums. Oh, is this how they're listed as? So wait, tell me that again. Which one should I?
Either the Peace Through Tyranny or the First Blood albums.
Okay,
they should be right there on the
Peace
thing.
Through Tyranny. Let's fucking go. Okay, guys, buckle up. This was described to me as thrasher synth, correct?
Sort of like industrial. These
dope.
2 albums were more like traditional thrash stuff. Like my one friend described it as Transformers the movie meets Master of Puppets.
Yeah, let me just go ahead and kick it over because I want them to see this as well. That's exactly what it is.
Oh, are we showing the art?
Is that okay? Yeah, I was just on your webpage.
No, that's fine. It's just that the guy who made it is Bill, who is one of our artists on CU Space Calendar.
Oh, respect. Oh shit, I hit a sound cue. Oh, sorry, you can't even hear it. I'm jamming some tunes right now. This is such a hilarious play-in for playing Peace Through Tyranny. That's appropriate. I don't regret anything about my presets, about accidentally hitting that button. There's no regrets happening. Oh. Okay. So, shout out to Bill. Shout out to this artwork. Shout out to these jams from the mid-'80s that I cannot let go of. And without further ado, Peace Through Tyranny.
It's the title track.
Fucking go. Okay, dude. I'm seeking shelter. I am here seeking shelter.
Yeah, that little.
Let's go. This is sick.
So and Peace Through Tyranny, this song I wrote in like 07 and it didn't come out till 2014.
Got you.
I reuse everything.
Ah, let's fucking go. Yo, is this you playing as well? Hold the fuck up. Hold the fuck up.
I believe this track has Stemage from Metroid Metal playing the solo, which
Bro.
I was super proud that I could get him.
Played every track except he's got Stem coming in as well. That's absolutely nasty. So here's the scoop. There's no volume control on this. which
Yeah,
is
no,
is not,
Bandcamp
which is
doesn't have volume
absolutely
control.
fine. But the only because I'm streaming this as one shared thing, I don't think I can jam it during the rapid fire because I wouldn't
That's
be able to hear you. Damn, that's sick though. Guys, onslaught6.com, not six the number SIX, just like it is underneath his
I should buy that domain and have it redirect.
Totally. Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It was rowdy. Like, there is a space for that music in my world. And I think in everyone's, like, that captures an emotion, a drive, situation. Really, really impressive to me that you play all the instruments. I mean, I'm a hack on the guitar. I can, musical theater guy, so, like, I can learn some choreo. I'll learn your score. But anyone that comes out and plays multiple instruments, to me, that's just a high level, dog. I respect that. Damn. Well, Onslaught's just coming in to do one thing and then just showing off 18 others, man. I like that.
This is what happens when you just do things for 20 years.
Dude, it is. I mean, that is a tribute to repetition, a tribute to the 10,000 hours rule, man. Like, we see it. I see that. That's rad.
That's really the thing, is I just always wanted to make shit, right?
Yeah.
And I could never really find the outlets for it growing up. Music was the first thing where I could actually, like, complete it. Because my ADHD I would get together enough pages to staple together like a comic book about this thick, and I would draw the first 3 pages and lose steam, and they would never get finished, and I would never go back to that. Right? Music was the first thing where I could sit down at like my DAW, my digital audio workstation, and start with a drum beat and a guitar track, and in 3 or 4 hours, kind of have something that's like 95% of the way there.
Yeah.
Where the things that I needed to do to finish it were enough that I could focus on it.
Yeah, man. And that feeling starts to be almost addicting in the sense that, like, you want to finish it, right? Like, I can sometimes suffer from a little OCD, which is good and bad, but with big picture projects, I mean, you really have to be able to be somewhat loose-handed. If something is going to take you 3 months to edit a film or something like that, I mean, you want to be excited, you want to be driven. Same thing
it's
with an album.
It's going to take almost 6 months for the art to come back on this Kickstarter.
100%, man. Exactly.
I had this meeting with these guys, and I'm like, okay, the deadline is the last week of February.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's 6 months from now.
Yeah. And I'm sure you have a system of, like, checking in, communicating, whatever, but it's also, to a certain degree, you have to let them go, incubate, go through their process. Really enjoy that, man. Well, I got to drag you in, man. Are you ready for the rapid fire? I feel like
I've been ready.
Yeah, I was about to say,
locked and loaded.
Yeah,
let's
that track is like, let's freaking go. Like, absolutely ready. Okay, man. I mean, I think you might know the scoop. I mean, this is honestly like my favorite part of the show because I get to kind of catch a feel, a little bit of insight, a little Kafkian sort of expose into the mind of Onslaught 6. Mostly binary questions, kind of either or. The exception, of course, is the first one, which I think has like 4 potential answers. But yeah, without further ado, the rapid fire. Standard array, point buy, 46 drop lowest, or 3d6.
None.
Oh my god.
1d6 plus 8.
1d6 plus 8. What the fuck is that? I love it.
Yeah. It gives you between 9 and 14.
Wow.
I actually mentioned this in my first stream I popped in, and you were really excited by it.
You're right. Okay. I literally just wrote it down in my notebook. Interesting. I'm not going to let you stun me on the first question, but we will circle back on that. That's fucking wild. DM or GM?
It depends on the game, obviously.
Sure.
DM for Dungeons & Dragons or any D&D alike. If I'm running Old School Essentials, I'll just say DM. Old School Essentials is like the BX rule set from like 1981, just cleaned up and fixed.
I didn't know that. I'd never heard of Essentials in that way. Okay.
It's great. Old School Essentials is a fantastic way to game. It may be the best edition of D&D ever made.
Really?
Yeah. But like for See Your Space Cowboy, the GM is called the Band Leader. Right? And I like coming up with unique ones.
Yeah.
In Ghostbusters did a really cool thing where it was GM, but it stood for Ghostmaster.
Ooh, I like that a lot. Okay, Ghostmaster's sick. Okay, so that makes sense. A little bit kind of, specific as well it should be. If you have to have one, giants or dragons?
Dragons.
Dragons, love it. Red
Game's
Dragon?
not called Giants and Dragons.
Yeah, Dungeons and Giants, yeah. Red Dragon or Blue Dragon in that case?
Red.
Red, man.
I love the
classic.
blue dragon, and I'm about to run one this week.
Sick.
It's gonna shoot down an airship.
An
Spoilers
adult
for anybody
or an
watching
ancient?
this. Ancient.
Ancient. Woo, that's nasty.
There's only one of every dragon of every color and age in my world.
Interesting. Yeah,
So there's only one ancient blue dragon. There's an adult blue dragon somewhere else, but there's only one ancient blue dragon.
Got you. Similar in mine. It's very fun. I think that's a very realistic hierarchy. Okay, copper or gold dragon?
I'm gonna say gold.
Wow.
I'm not super familiar with the
That's
metallic dragons, though.
Got you. Coppers are much more sort of playful. In many ways, they're considered sort of almost like roguish tricksters. The gold is a little bit more like the ancient, the wise, the almost timeless. Both are super cool.
Yeah, they
Both
like
make sense.
surround Bahamut, right?
Exactly. They're like almost like godlike. Okay, well, if we are picking a giant, we going frost or storm?
I'm gonna go with Storm Giant.
Storm, yeah. Storm giants are just sick. I might need to give another option here. Maybe a dire troll or a storm giant. But agreed. Like the control weather is so sick, and like there's just some things they can do that seem almost anti-giant. That I think
Maybe
are
the
dope.
MCDM monster book can convince me Frost Giants are cool.
Yeah, exactly.
When they make that.
We need a revamp. Frost giants need some sort of layer action or some sort of legendary ability. I think. If you're going one, spellcaster or melee.
100%.
Ooh, let's go.
My first guy was basically a Conan guy, and that was the
Really?
first guy I made for 5e. Morteth, the unmentionable.
The unmentionable. That's sick. Was he a barbarian?
Yeah, of
Let's
course he was
get
a barbarian.
it. Let's get it.
My
Okay.
power fantasy is to just be me, but naked.
Yeah. Hey, honestly, adjacent to mine as well. Okay, great axe or great sword for this barbarian?
Great axe.
Great axe. Get it. What is that? D12?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nasty.
I love the D12. I
D12
love the
is
D12 so
chunky.
much. It's the most important dice in Sea of Space Cowboy because it's the best stat you can have because you don't use the D20 in this game.
I also love that big chunky die. Okay, if you're tossing it around, D100 or D12? Is it D12?
Yeah, it's D12.
Got you.
Obviously.
D100 I like because of the options. Sometimes it's so epic, but the weight of the hand and the strangeness of the tumble, I think is probably a D12. Okay, elf or dwarf? I already know the answer.
You'd be surprised. A lot of the lore in my world is based on elves, but I do like dwarves.
Yeah, got you. I was leaning towards dwarf just because of that one kind of,
Like elves were like the first society in my world, so a lot of the culture is elven. So I've built a shitload of elven stuff. I also have an elf player, and I've never had a dwarf player in my games, so I haven't had to build the dwarves yet.
There you go. Well, maybe
And
an
I had to build
opportunity.
the whole elf religion.
Because that
all
whole
8 gods in it, and the whole history of the Elven War and all this shit. There's an Elven War in my game because the first player who played an elf in my game wanted to be like, can I be like, there was like an elf war and I like wanted no part of it, so I'm just sort of like this wandering Ronin character. And now there's an elf war in the game, and it won't end until a player says, I want to stop the elf war.
wow. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right, someone needs to step in and end that. I like that a lot. Okay, tabaxi or tiefling?
It might happen soon. Tieflings, because they're in the player's handbook.
Yeah, right? You're like, I'll give them precedence.
They're not OG. Let's not go that far.
Well, tieflings...
I've just gotten used to
second
Tieflings
edition.
Dragonborn. But I know, that's true.
You know, and but the old school tieflings were so rowdy, man. But
Yeah.
that
Planescape is
D100 roll
awesome.
for like, they smell like sulfur, or they have glowing eyes, or like, I mean, they used to be like wild, like almost too wild. Okay, produce flame or firebolt?
Firebolt. I don't think Produce Flame should exist.
Really? And why's that?
Yeah. Well, because I think the game has too many spells.
Do you think produce flame should just be firebolt essentially?
Yeah. I think they should take the things that make Produce Flame unique and put them in Firebolt and erase Produce Flame.
Interesting. Okay, guidance or mage hand?
Mage hand.
Let's go. Hand me my guy hand. That's great. Mending or spare the dying?
Mending.
I love that, dude. For some reason.
Has anyone picked Spare the Dying? I don't
Yes.
think anyone has.
Yes, only one person. But like, the Red Sage was so classic. I think he literally picked mending and then said, fuck my players. I might need to clip that. I might need to go back and actually seek that out and determine it. But it cracks me so much, Onslaught, that you said that as well. Respect. Okay. Healing word or cure wounds?
So, in the exact opposite of what I just said, I think these spells should be separate. but I
Oh,
actually
interesting.
think that they should be on different class lists, so you don't get the choice. I think clerics should get cure wounds,
sure.
and I think bards should get healing word.
Sure.
I don't
Yeah,
think
I'm
they
with
should
that.
have like the
Druids
option.
have the option for either, I think, as well, and should probably just be cure wounds.
I think all three of them have the option.
For both, got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, there's obviously pros and cons, like the distance, the bonus action.
Right. But I think thematically, healing word works better as like a bard.
Oh, no
spell.
question, 100%. And separation, like there's been a lot of opening up of spells to different spell lists. I assume you probably
Yeah, I think
don't like that.
I'm all up on the one D&D thing.
Yeah. Got you. Yeah, it's a lot, but I mean that's obviously like hopefully we can hit him with some feedback. We'll see where it lands. And at the end of the day,
Listen,
you can
if
run whatever you want.
that's what it is, yeah, that's the thing. I'm not. These are just ideas. When you have a design brain like mine, you just start making arbitrary things. You
Yeah,
just make changes
it's almost comparative.
to the thing that, like, I think identify should be a level 3 spell. Probably no one else in the world thinks that.
It's very helpful. I mean, yeah, level 3's high, but agreed. First level is like, yo,
That's only 5th level.
This
I
thing's-
think until your 5th level, you should have to go to a guy to get it identified.
I guess some properties you can determine after a short rest, but you're right. Some things it's like, the fuck is this? Is it cursed? Like how
Yeah,
you know, like
I think it's way more interesting if you're in the dungeon. It's like there's no way to know how fucked up this is gonna be.
Yeah.
Until we get back to town and talk to Thicksar and get him to.
almost Thickstar. That's great. We need to go talk to Barry Potter. No, I've never really had. I've only had one wizard player, so I haven't had identify really like sliding in a ton. But I understand that.
I got an artificer who took it and a bard. So.
Got you. So it's coming around to find you. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe you would combine these. I don't know, but I'm curious. Fireball or lightning bolt?
These would be separate because they're so iconic.
They are fucking iconic. Agreed.
I will pick Fireball.
Fireball. Let's go. And just because it is.
I think both Fireball and Lightning Bolt were in chainmail, which means they predate D&D.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, they're definitely what I think of whenever I think of spellcasting. It's like a crack of lightning or an enormous fireball.
Right.
Is it fireball just because it's even more kind of classic? Do you like the blast radius? Like, is there a reason?
I just think it's easier to figure out. I think
Yeah.
Lightning Bolt can get a little, especially. I think Fireball has changed the least between editions. The thing where it spreads around corners, I think that's gone now or whatever.
It is,
You used
yeah.
to have to calculate the volume or whatever it was.
Oh, I didn't know
right?
that. I never
you
DM'd
just have
for
to
third edition.
calculate the volume of the room or else it would explode out or something like that.
That is 'cause it
Whereas
would ricochet.
Lightning Bolt changes even more like crazy between editions. So I think Firebolt is like just the safer option.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
how this works.
Yeah. Let me just torch this room as opposed to like ping-ponging a pool shot of lightning.
Right.
That's hilarious. Okay, mass suggestion or charm monster?
I've never read these spells.
Oh, okay. Mass suggestion, I think, can affect.
No, I think there's
got it.
something funny about that. It's just like I've never read.
Yeah,
it.
you're like, I don't know.
I don't know because that nobody's ever taken them in my game and I've never had to use them.
Got you.
And that speaks again to don't prep things you don't need. I know people who have arguments about level 9 spells, and I'm like, when was the last time you got to level 17 to
Yeah,
pick
no,
a
for
level
sure.
9 spell?
I just love reading the spells. Like
Yeah,
it's
it
like
can,
you know
it
what I
can be
mean?
fun. It's a fun exercise, but I don't have.
Got you.
I got a
Okay,
Kickstarter
he
to run,
defers. I'm totally fine with that. If you are picking one, Hunter's Mark or Hex?
Well, that's gonna determine what class I am, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna pick Hunter's Mark because I like Rangers.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, respect, dude. Hunter's Mark's a 6 spell. Like using it to track in addition to damage is so dope to me. Like it's just such a great flavor spell. Okay, this one I'm very curious on. If someone attempts to sleight of hand one of your players, you give them a perception check on average, or you more commonly use passive perception.
It depends on what situation I am trying to create. Because if I want the NPC to just steal the thing and they have to go after the thing and I've prepped their hideout already, passive all the way. And by the way, I already know what this guy's modifier is gonna be and what this guy's passive perception is, so he's gonna beat it.
Got you.
Whereas if I want the scene to be the confrontation between, hey, did you just try to lift something off of me? Then I'll give them the roll for it. But for the most part, I always use passive almost exclusively. It's only when a player says, I'm looking around, and I'm like, okay, give me perception.
Same.
Other than that, I use passive.
Same. I'm with that. Okay, I like that a lot. Wizard or sorcerer?
Wizard. I think sorcerers shouldn't exist.
Ah, that's funny. A buddy of mine thinks that too. Cleric or warlock?
I think a lot of people who complain about playing a sorcerer would just have more fun if they were playing a wizard.
Got you. Yeah, I think wizards are more fun for sure. Cleric or warlock?
Cleric.
Cleric, let's go. Okay,
Yeah.
man, steering away from the warlock. Respect, pure heart. Fighter or paladin?
I want to go paladin.
Yeah.
But I have to be fighter.
Just like out of respect to your roots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I think I know the answer, but druid or ranger?
Ranger.
Ranger, respect, man.
Druids are really cool, but rangers just have so much more flavor and utility as being like the fighting man of the wild or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas the druid is like kind of cordoned off in his own ecosystem when I think of it.
Agreed. I mean, I think more and more I'm trying to play like a paladin that isn't like a crusader, or like a druid that isn't, you know, like a hippie in the wood. Like trying to find those wrinkles and iterations. Sometimes those classes can feel super like it's branded onto you. Okay.
I like leaning into that, by the way.
Oh my God! Sometimes they can be so fun, for sure.
D&D is a tropey game. If you don't want to engage with the tropes of it, what are we?
Yeah.
Like I said, the arc ends with a big dungeon because that's what the game is.
Yeah. No, I'm with that. Or like that's also why we love dragons so much. I'm sure. Like, let's
Right.
just fucking do it. Okay. Last question for you, Onslaught. How did you
I'm gonna make you mad.
How did you get the handle? Onslaught 6.
Oh, okay. All right. That's a different question than the one I thought you were gonna get.
Oh yeah. You want to ask? You want to answer the cats?
No, I don't know that.
Oh,
one
what did
either.
you think I was gonna ask you?
I don't know, but I'll tell you about the name.
Yeah, please.
For sure. So this is Onslaught from 1986. He's a G1 Transformer. He's one of the original guys. I got this for $1 at flea market when I was like 10 years old.
Bro.
Right? So
that's
when
sick.
I first got into the fandom in 2001, they had like Transformers will do this thing where we call them repaints or redecos. So they'll take this toy and they'll press it in different colors, right?
Okay, cool.
And they'll call it a new character. But I have a couple right here. So here's
Oh my God.
Sideswipe. He's a red Lamborghini, right? And here's Clampdown. He's a police Lamborghini. It's the exact same toy.
Sure.
It's just in different colors. That's
Sure.
how they get you.
Got you. That's
But they
great.
make them like different characters. So when I had first come in, they had reused the Onslaught mold 5 times, right? And so my crappy 10-year-old fan fiction
Dude,
character was like,
yeah.
I'm the 6th in the line of Onslaught.
Let's go.
He had all this bullshit.
No, that's sick, man. That's 6 is what it
And
is.
so that was my username on like Transformers forums, and it just stuck, and I kept using it.
Dude, I like that. What a funny
Nobody else
backstory.
used it. Nobody else used it, and when you spell it out the way I spell it, it was real easy to get,
Yeah.
and it was distinctive.
And it's something, I love handles where I know there's something there and I'm just not sure what it is. You know what I mean? That's always really enticing to me. And sometimes you're like, you talk to them and they're like, oh, it's just something I came up with. But that's cool. Like, it's an interest. There's a theme to it, and you are the 6th, man. Or did they ever print a 6th or no?
Oh, yeah, they did. There was the urban one and the desert one after that. So,
Got you.
you know.
Well,
And then they remade Onslaught 5 or 6 other times, and all the Combaticons and stuff.
got you. Well, but you're the original. You beat them to press.
I'm the OG Onslaught 6.
Oh, Onslaught, man. This has been a pleasure, dude. Truly. I love...
I thought you were going to ask me about turtles.
Oh, dude. You know, that's so funny because I skipped it because I was moving quick. Let's talk about it. Would your answer be anything other than turtle?
Yes, it would.
Wow. Okay. Well,
The answer is, let's play this.
I'm glad I didn't ask. That's so great. If you guys don't already know, I'm an enormous turtle stan. That is sick.
Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness, 1985,
No
Palladium.
way.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten that off its feet? Like, what's it like?
No. Well, so here's the thing. I say that, but then I wouldn't actually use this book.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would just.
Bro.
There's an indie version that is like we kind of like how Old School Essentials is 1981 BX D&D but cleaned up. There's like a cleaned up and revised sort of indie version called Mutants in the Now that ran a Kickstarter earlier this year, I think, for their expansion called Mutants in the Next. And I'm just waiting for my shit from that to come in, and then I will run it. For
Got
sure.
you.
I'll probably run that online
Dude.
with a bunch of my friends who want to be furries.
You know I'm
yes,
a
I
corner.
literally-
You
I
had me
literally got
so
this from
cornered on
downstairs.
that. I love you, Onslaught.
I literally brought this
Bro,
down from
I am
downstairs.
so glad. I always, like, I have a pool of questions, and I copy and paste, and I like to, like, have a little bit of variety. But, dude, man, you had me
Art in
so
it is
good
so
on that.
sick. Look at this cute badger ranger.
Let's go. Like, it makes me want to play Bebop, like, really bad. You know what I mean? Like, I know he's a bad guy, but
Look at this fucking Wolverine with an eye patch. What the
come
hell?
on. Like, roll it up. Oh, man, that's so good. Dude, well, before we get out, man, Onslaught, tell us the best way to find you, to support you, to kind of, you know, stay in touch, you know, get a feel for kind of what's going on in your world.
All right, my personal shit posts are at Onslaught6 everywhere. But if you want to keep in touch with Tidal Wave Games, you want at Tidal Wave RPG on Twitter. That's the
Tidal
only
Wave
social media
RPG.
we have right now.
Cool.
TidalWaveGames.com will have links to all our other stuff. We have a YouTube channel where we post our actual play podcasts, interviews with other people, cool shit like that. Patreon.TidalWaveGames.com will take you to our Patreon, where for a couple bucks a month, you can get free exclusive shit that doesn't have art yet, and we use that money to pay for the art.
Let's
so please
go.
do that. What else? We have a Discord. It's called the Tidal Wave Pool. Discord.TidalWaveGames.com. It's super dope. Saris.TidalWaveGames.com will take you to the store where you can pre-order Saris, the Planet That Never Sleeps, a 40-page setting and bounty
Let's
module
go.
for CU Space Cowboy and other sci-fi tabletop RPGs like Mothership, Stars Without Number, Through the Void. And those are going to be super cool. It's got a cool map. It's got art by Jackie King, Tyler Hogarty, Bill, Mitch, who did the cover art, which is super awesome. Check out the Actual Play podcast, Tidal Wave Games podcast, I think is the... Tidal Wave Games Presents, I think is the name of it. Whatever it is. It's all on TidalWaveGames.com. Check it out.
TidalWaveGames.com is the first
Yes.
stop. And yes, drop this guy a follow on Twitter as well. Remind me, Onslaught, do you stream?
Yes, I stream. I haven't done it in a while because I've just been
No,
with the
okay.
Kickstarter and everything, and then life kind of screwed me up.
Thank you, Cello Booster.
I play. We used to stream the CUSC Actual Play podcast. That's been wrapped up. I'm running the Spelljammer game right now. I'm recording it. I'm not streaming it just
Cool.
because I want to see if it pans out into something watchable.
Yeah, no, for
or not.
sure.
And then I also stream. I play Wizardry sometimes. I play Tokimeki Memorial. We're trying to get Shiori Fujisaki. We can't do it.
We need your help. We need your help.
We need your help.
Oh my gosh. Well,
And sometimes I play Breath of the Wild or Zelda
Heck
Ocarina
yeah.
of Time Randomizer.
let's
Actually,
go.
I'm not playing Breath of the Wild anymore. I finished it.
Such a
But
beautiful
when
game.
it comes out, I'm definitely going to stream that. So.
Same, brother. I cannot wait. So pumped for that
They
trailer
just
to
announced
drop.
it.
Yeah, I know.
It's so good looking.
It's got me stoked. Well, guys, drop him a follow. Check out Tidal Wave Games. Can't wait to see. I mean, I guess keep us posted. Maybe we need to have you on back in February 2023, whenever
Yes,
it's actually
I would
coming
love that.
out. Would love to see. I mean, obviously, like, just let's holler at each other before that. But
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the finished product, man. Like, I hope you feel proud of it, and I know you guys still have a ton of work ahead of you. But congrats on
Most of my work's done.
Yeah, you're like,
gotta
yeah,
manage
now I just
people
gotta
now.
wait for these other people. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But still, that's what you did is a ton of work, and I hope you feel, proud of that and happy with that.
I do. I'm really happy with how it's turned out now.
Good, man. Well, guys, I'm Carpe the DM. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Monday, Wednesdays, typically D&D stuff. Wednesdays, I do between 2 DMs. Cello Buster, everybody that came in new. I mean, Deceased, Delport, Amon, of course, Root, Red Sage, Maddie P, thank you so much for that. Anybody I missed? I also, on Fridays, am moving on from Elden Ring, where I died a million deaths, and am now in the midst of Operation Hogtie, which is where I play Red Dead Redemption 2 for the first time, searching for some of the characters that I voiced and did facial modding for back in 2018.
That is a great stream. I love that.
Thank you, man. I am realizing that, like, I have to embrace being the villain. Like, it is a cold-blooded game. I really tried to play it where I was
When
trying
I
to...
played Red Dead 1, I was full outlaw. I think I had the mask that actually makes it so you can't go up at all, like your reputation or whatever it is. It just always goes down until I was 100%, and then I think my horse turned into a zombie because of it or something.
That is hysterical. They're like, you are as bad as it gets. I am having fun learning it, but more than anything, I'm having fun just like messing with the RP of the characters and trying to find the character I played to hog tie him and throw him on the railroad tracks. But guys, I like to end every D&D stream with a raid of another D&D stream. That happened to me whenever I first started out on Twitch a couple months ago. It was super uplifting. It was really, really rad. It honestly like made my day, made my stream. So if you can, we're about to hop in on Envy Wild. Looks like they're doing a live stream play, an actual play sesh. I don't know them, but let's go and just say hi. Say raid attack. Tell them your boy Carpe sent them. And I mean, let's just spread some love and support. Onslaught, anything else before we get out of here and start this raid?
No, I think we're good. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. ACAB, Black Lives Matter, trans rights are human rights. Don't kill the part of you that cringes. Kill the part of you that's cringe. Wait, I fucked it up.
Yes.
Strike that. Reverse it.
No, I think most of that was all right, man. I love that. Wait, you're right with the cringing and cringe.
Yeah.
Whatever, dude. Good words. Listen to it on the VOD. Hey, we'll figure it out on the playback and get it right on post. But guys, please pop in and tell Envy Wild you appreciate them and give them some love. And as Onslaught said, take care of yourselves. We are out of here.